Hello friends, in this video I am going to discuss the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012. The Parliament of India enacted the Protection of Children Against Sexual Offence Act 2012 with the objective to prohibit child sexual abuse. However, before discussing the provisions of this act, let's understand first what is Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012 all about? As defined in this act, an act to protect children from offences of sexual assault, sexual harassment, and pornography, and provide for establishment of special courts for trial of such offences and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. Now, the next question is, what is meaning of child in reference to this act? As defined in section 2D of this act, child means any person below the age of 18 years. Now, the next question is, what is meaning of penetrative sexual assault? As defined in section 3 of this act, a person is said to commit penetrative sexual assault if he penetrates his penis to any extent into the vagina, mouth, urethra, or anus of a child, or makes the child to do so with him or any other person, or he inserts to any extent any object or a part of the body not being the penis into the vagina, the urethra, or anus of the child, or makes the child to do so with him or any other person, or he manipulates any part of the body of the child so as to cause penetration into the vagina, urethra, anus, or any part of body of the child, or makes the child to do so with him or any other person, or he applies his mouth to the penis, vagina, anus, urethra of the child, or makes the child to do so to such person or any other person. Now, the next question is, what is meaning of aggravated penetrative sexual assault? As defined in section 5 of this act, whoever being a police officer commits penetrative sexual assault on a child, or whoever being a member of the armed forces or security forces commits penetrative sexual assault on a child, or whoever being a public servant commits penetrative sexual assault on a child, or whoever being on the management or on the staff of a jail, remand home, protection home, observation home, or other place of custody or care and protection established by or under any law for the time being in force, commits penetrative sexual assault on a child, being inmate of such jail, remand home, protection home, observation home, or other place of custody or care and protection, or whoever being on the management or staff of a hospital, whether government or private, commits penetrative sexual assault on a child in that hospital, or whoever being on the management or staff of an educational institution or religious institution commits penetrative sexual assault on a child in that institution. When a child is subject to sexual assault by one or more persons of a group in furtherance of their common intention, each of such persons shall be deemed to have committed gang penetration sexual assault within the meaning of this clause, and each of such person shall be liable for that act in the same manner as if it were done by him alone. Now the question is, what is meaning of sexual assault? As defined in section 7 of this act, whoever with sexual intent touches the vagina, penis, anus or breast of the child, or makes the child touch the vagina, penis, anus or breast of such person or any other person, or does any other act with sexual intent which involves physical contact without penetration, is said to commit sexual assault. Now, the next question is, what is punishment for sexual assault? As defined in section 8 of this act, whoever commits sexual assault shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which shall not be less than 3 years, but which may extend to 5 years and shall also be liable to fine. Now, the next question is, what is meaning of sexual harassment? As defined in section 11 of this act, a person is said to commit sexual harassment upon a child when such person with sexual intent utters any word or makes any sound or makes any gesture or exhibits any object or part of body with the intention that such word or sound shall be heard, or such gesture or object or part of body shall be seen by the child, or entices a child for pornography purposes or gives gratification therefor. Now the question is, what is the punishment for sexual harassment? As defined in section 12 of this act, whoever commits sexual harassment upon a child shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 3 years and shall also be liable to fine. Now the next question is, what is meaning of use of child for pornographic purposes? As defined in section 13 of this act, whoever uses a child in any form of media, including program or advertisement telecast by television channels or internet or any other electronic form or printed form, whether or not such program or advertisement is intended for personal use or for distribution for the purposes of sexual gratification, which includes representation of the sexual organs of a child, usage of a child engaged in real or stimulated sexual acts with or without penetration, the indecent or obscene representation of a child shall be guilty of the offense of using a child for pornographic purposes. Now, the question is, what is punishment for use of child for pornographic purposes? As defined in section 14 of this act, whoever uses a child or children for pornographic purposes shall be punished with imprisonment of either description which may extend to 5 years and shall also be liable to fine, and in the event of second or subsequent conviction, with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 7 years and also be liable to fine. Now, the next question is, what is meaning of a special court in reference to this act? As defined in section 28 of this act, for the purposes of providing a speedy trial, the state government shall, in consultation with the Chief Justice of the High Court, by notification in the Official Gazette, designate for each district a court of session to be a special court to try the offences under the Act, provided that if a court of session is notified as a children's court under the Commissions for Protection of Child Rights Act, 2005 or a special court designated for similar purposes under any other law for the time being in force, then such court shall be deemed to be a special court under this section. This is all about the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012.